Okay, welcome to the Modern Contractor Podcast number 12. I got a great guest today. His name's Paul Van Bergen, and I'm going to let him do a good job of telling us about his background and what he's currently doing. And we'll go from there. And I think he's got a lot of good insights that we've kind of talked about briefly beforehand. And I think this should be very informational, and hopefully you can take some action items away from this one. Paul, go ahead. Let us know who you are.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Brian. Thanks for having me on. Again, my name's Paul Van Bergen. I own and operate a company here in Chicago, window installation company called BW Construction. So we do some exteriors and interiors as well. I've owned the company for a couple of months. I do not come from a construction background. So this was an acquired business. My background is in transportation and logistics. So for the past 10 years, I've been in an executive role from a COO to a chief procurement officer in transportation and logistics. I've ran and operated companies for scale and growth and experienced an exit with one and really enjoyed doing that. My second go around with my former company was an awesome experience. We put together kind of this go-to-market strategy and talked to a lot of different bankers about how we would do that. I really enjoyed that process. I reconnected with a former colleague, and she kind of mentioned the fact like, "Hey, have you ever thought about buying a business?" And I haven't. So she put me together with the guy who was an advisor, gave me some recommendations, had some great conversations, and started my search. I've had the experience of operating businesses from a P&L level, from a sales standpoint, from an operations standpoint, and technology as well. So I was really excited to kind of start doing this for myself. So I went through my process. I kind of narrowed it down to the home services. And one of the big things for me was what I was going to buy had to be relevant today, 40 years from now, and was relevant in the past as well. AI was not going to disrupt it. Amazon wasn't going to disrupt it. And I really liked home services because it really speaks to people's number one assets, their home. And when they make improvement, it's really important to them. And I liked the idea of solving some of those problems for them and getting them to where they wanted to go. BW was great. It had a premium partnership with Pella. They had a premium product, phenomenal people, and it was a great fit for what I was looking for. So that's kind of my background a little bit in a nutshell.
So you answered my first question on what you saw when you bought the company. Obviously, good people, a good partnership with Pella, great products. What has surprised you? Has anything surprised you as you've undergone this journey?
Yeah, it's every business is the same. It's about people and process. I thought it was just going to be about construction and my learning curve about the technical side of things and the construction side. But really, what drives success is the communication, the execution, being operationally efficient. Um, I was not expecting that. I thought the construction piece was the bigger piece that I had to wrap my head around, do a lot of learning. But it's just like any other business. You focus on people and processes to drive better outcomes.
That's what drives me crazy in our industry is you'll get this if you start going to more of these get-togethers, the summits and with different contractors. And, a lot of the focus is on leads. They're always talking about leads. You need more leads, always be closing, those type of things. And I believe 180 degrees different. I talk about with my team and with my clients and across the board, I always talk about customer experience because if you improve your customer's experience, I have proven with Burridge Home Solutions, you can grow a lot. I mean, in our 18 through 23 years, we've grown a tremendous amount, but that's because for all the years we've been doing this, we were always trying to make the customer's experience better. And then you talked about the good people you have, and if you can back that up with good people, that's when you really can do something. So it sounds like you're starting from a spot that you have a lot of opportunity to continue to grow that company.
Yeah, absolutely. Customer experience is huge. It was a really big part of the organizations I was with in the past. Providing clarity, consistency, clear channels of communications. I mean, that's what drives that experience. Building trust, like those are the things I love doing. And my team is definitely on the same page. Our lead foreman, he's a perfectionist and he only cares about a high standard that he has for our install teams. And because he loves getting that satisfaction of a customer who's really happy. And that starts from when they first make contact with us to when we give them the final invoice and we say, thanks for your business and have a great day. Look forward to doing more business in the future. So from soup to nuts, it's all about the experience and everybody's aligned to it and everybody sees the value in it. So yeah, very surprising that, that's just the core of every business. I feel like you have to focus on people, processes, communication, clarity, developing trust with customers, and delivering that experience.
Yeah, I think that our industry, obviously the big boys, they have a lot of systems, procedures, and all that in place. But, I talk to a lot of people that just don't have that. They kind of, you see them running around their truck with material in their back, then they're taking a check to the deposit. You got a lot of that and building a team. But how did you, when you came on, you inherited a team, how'd you earn their trust?
For me, it was obviously, and this was the easy part, it was like not pretending that I had all the answers. I mean, I listened a lot, showed a ton of respect because they had a lot of great experience in the company and they've done a lot of great things. But really, my message to them was focusing on the small things and making some meaningful improvements along the way instead of like big disruptive changes that I had no business making because I didn't truly understand the business. And I think that really resonated with them. Again, they're all very thoughtful. They all want the business to be successful. They're very passionate in what they do. So the idea of more collaboration was very welcoming to them. And they've just been great. I mean, I just ask a ton of questions and I'm like, I ask them, when am I ready to take the training wheels off? They're like, we're getting there. So they've been very helpful and supportive on my journey here in this short period of time.
What's is there an advantage that you didn't have a contractor background? I think you just spoke to it really because you came from places where you had to have systems and procedures and everything in place.
Yeah.
So that's probably in our industry that's the weakness for most companies. So at least that's probably the thing you brought to the table.
Yeah, I think that whole idea of like, well, this is how it's done and this is how it's always been done mindset, I don't come with that. And again, I saw it in my businesses with different companies. It's like, well, this is how we do things. And I think that impedes growth. And to have a mindset without it, and for us to be able to look at, systems pricing, customer experience, and ask, why are we doing it this way? I think having an outsider's lens on those questions is very beneficial to the company. But yeah, that whole idea of like, well, this is just how it's always been done, and this is how we do it, instead of asking why and having those quality conversations with everybody to make improvements. I'm
So
very of the mindset of it's not just if it's fixed, if it's not fixed, or I'm sorry, if it's not broke, fix it. It's if it's working, break it and fix it. Like I like to iterate and I like to challenge people to find better solutions for growth purposes. It gets them out of comfort zone. It elevates their game a little bit. So I always like to make those improvements. And I think people just kind of get I don't know if complacent is the right word, but they just kind of go into what it's always been and it's worked and it's great. And we have all this tribal knowledge and we don't make a lot of changes and everybody's comfortable and that's our business. And that's kind of not how I feel about the direction that we're going to take the business moving forward. And they're very supportive of that.
So do you have how do you so you want all the collaboration? Do you have like a time where you all get together and review things and or do you have regular meetings that are focus of the customer experience?
It's funny, there's two key stakeholders within the company that have been huge to my growth in my role. And I've told them, I was like, hey, do you guys want to do weekly calls? Like I brought them all together and I wanted to kind of go over kind of, hey, what we're thinking about for the second half of this year. And talk through some numbers, talk through some different systems, and talk through some marketing plans and ideas, and just kind of get everybody on the same page. And I said, hey, do you want to have a standing weekly or biweekly? And they were just kind of like, no, but whenever you want to have a meeting, we can definitely talk. We appreciate it, but we don't need a standing Friday on our calendar. Kind of joking that this isn't the corporate world and we don't need to have meetings about meetings. But they're very open to those discussions. They have ideas. They'll send me emails on off times, on Saturdays. They send me texts. They just want to have conversations. So they're just kind of, I'm letting them be before it gets more structured in terms of team meetings because we're all so busy. I mean, we have a thin crew. We're definitely hiring, but we just don't have that. I don't think we have that luxury to take a quality 30, 45 minutes to go over kind of what we're working on what's working, what's not, and have those type of conversations yet. But they are definitely happening.
So okay, let's talk about that. You said you're looking to hire. How do you approach hiring and retaining people?
Um, so hiring it's just like hiring any other role. I've kind of heard about horror stories of a shortage in the labor market or how hard it is to find quality carpenters. We've hired one person, and it's just nobody likes going through the hiring process. You have to be disciplined with it. But we have a very specific set of core values that we talk about. Accountability, um, setting a high standard, communication, being respectful, just being good people. Like, so that's kind of the core and the fundamental traits that everyone has, and everything else can be learned or taught. So it's just about discipline and not saying this is a pain in the butt or it's too hard. I mean, there's quality people out there. I've had great conversations. So it's just you got to have a stick to itiveness with it, and don't get discouraged. And it's fun meeting people that have different ideas with different backgrounds. You kind of got to look at it this way and keep it with an eyes wide open mindset. And not everybody that we're going to put on a job for a trial period is going to work out. But we don't want to be too uptight about it, and let's just stick with it. But yeah, like if they don't have kind of those core characteristics of like, call it accountability, communication, pride in their work, a higher standard, delivering a great product, customer focus or first mentality. Like we talk about those things a lot. And if they're not interested in it, then we're typically not interested in them.
So when I talk to a lot of people, when I talk to them about hiring people, a lot of them reference that as an expense. And I've long years ago looked at it and changed my perspective, because when I was first started, and for a decade we kind of stayed revenue flat, and a lot of people around me were saying keep your expenses low, always do that. But then when I started listening to some podcasts, started doing some other things and learning from some other people, I completely flipped, and I look at all hiring as an investment now. I don't look at it as I want to keep the hourly rate low. I want to pay somebody really well if they're really good at what they do and they know how to take care of customers. But I have a hard time getting a lot of people to understand that. Can you shed more light on it and how you look at
Yeah.
that way?
I'm 100% aligned with you. I think it's more of an investment, and I think it provides more support to all of your current employees. I think it provides a better experience for your customer. And then you're just better situated in terms of laying a more solid foundation for growth, because scaling the business is important. Nobody just wants to stand still in their job, whatever they're doing. They want to see growth, they want to be a part of it, they want to have more opportunities. So being able to support the business properly and not run it too thin where, things will slip between the cracks and customers will feel it and other employees will feel it, and it's not a great work environment or an experience for anybody. To me, that's too much of a risk. I'd rather have more on my P&L when I look at salary and wages than not, knowing that business is supported and the foundation is strong for growth. And then I don't have to worry about, oh man, I didn't do this, or I didn't have the time to do that, or oh my gosh, I'm spread so thin. I want to make sure everybody has roles that are well defined and they understand what success looks like in their role. And when it becomes a little bit overwhelming and they're losing time, let's talk about hiring. So you can't grow a business without quality people. So I'm kind of with you on the marketing side as well, because I think people are like, oh, I'm spending a ton of money on marketing. Well, if you focus internally with your people processes, with a collaborative effort, focused on the customer experience, that growth can happen organically before, which I view marketing as an expense as well. Yes, you have to make an investment to see what's working for you, but that truly to me is an expense, where you can get a lot of gain through quality people. So yeah, you just have to do it. And I'm okay. We look at our percentages, like, hey, what percentages of our salary pertains to our revenue and our margin? And there's ranges that I feel more comfortable in, but I don't let that drive my decision on hiring.
Yeah, I think it's just a huge investment. Marketing, absolutely. What I find is a lot of people in our industry they'll do a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit here, and they'll never really give anything time to really start helping them. They expect these
Yeah.
immediate results, and then the leads are just going to pop in, and and so that's one uphill battle we have with a lot of contractors. What stood out immediately when you got on board at BW? What stood out immediately as an outsider?
Um, great people. Like immediately I was opened with wide open arms. And I was really nervous about that too, because there's people, our project manager, he's been there for over 15 years. Our lead foreman's been there for 29 years. All of these guys have longevity. They have pride in the company. And I know they were going to be nervous or anxious about a new owner, especially a guy who doesn't have a construction background coming in. And I kind of had those same feelings about the disruption it may cause with the business, but that absolutely did not happen. I think after the shock wore off, which was short-lived, they were just ready to roll up their sleeves and get to work and business as usual and start thinking about what we can do differently and having these type of conversations, which was great. One thing that really stood out was, we were a very paper and pencil organization, and there was zero technology helping everybody kind of be on the same platform and increase that visibility for everybody. So that was one of the smaller changes I made up front was getting us on an operating system so we could all have that visibility and we all had access to different customer files and pricing and quote PQMs and everything. And I think that was super helpful. And again, it helped me as a part of my learning curve as well. So yeah.
Will those systems have any way of helping you with marketing or follow up with customers and stuff like that?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So, in terms of setting tasks or notifications or templates I can build for emails, and I can schedule them, and I get reminders of sending these emails out, thanking customers, or making my phone call, or hey, we're following up on a proposal we sent 3 days ago, and all of that is in that system for us to have again more consistency with our whole sales process and with our customers.
Perfect. How do you talked about you're not trying to change too much right away. You're trying to balance culture and change. How have you
Yeah.
been doing that right now?
Well, it's just not turning everything upside down, right? I I I keep working every day to earn their trust. In my mind, I feel like I need small wins with everybody to earn their trust, and then you can layer on bigger improvements over time. But I always, any type of improvement or change, I don't in a vacuum. They're a part of all of these decisions, and we have discussions around it all, and I think they're very appreciative of that. But just not flipping everything upside down, and I think just earning kind of my stripes. Like when I first started, I was like, I don't want to wear the shirt or the hat because I don't feel like I've earned to be on the team yet, or I've kind of proven myself to be on the team. So it was important for me to get little wins with everybody to kind of earn that trust and um, build those relationships so I don't really disrupt culture or anything like that.
So let's talk about what's your vision for BW Construction now.
Yeah, I love that question. And it's changed from when I was looking at it and evaluating and doing my due diligence on the business to when I've started and now me being a few months in. Um, it's really that Rubik's Cube of we have a quality product, premium brand, phenomenal people, building more systems that make everything seamless to provide a better customer service, but ultimately to grow and to give people opportunity to do something that they haven't done in the past, giving people opportunities to challenge themselves in different roles, to think outside the box, to setting higher standards, to feeling more comfortable with being uncomfortable, all of those things that these changes throughout, and there'll be small iterations, people feel this, but to embrace it and to collaborate together to get through it and to ultimately grow. From a numbers standpoint, like I feel like in 3 years, I'd like to double the business. That's a goal that I've set. I'm really not too concerned. I know there's still investment that I'm going to I'm going to make. So from a profitability standpoint, it's not top of mind. It's more how do I drive revenue and keep up quality customer experience? And then how do we do that collectively? So we've just had, like I said last week, we kind of had that first meeting and just there's great thought around how we make ourselves better for our customers to grow. And that's ultimately what I want to do.
Okay, I'm going to close it out with a couple of quicker questions that might be.
Cool.
Tell me, is there one book you would recommend everybody read?
Principles by Ray Dalio. It's a longer read. I've put it on, I've listened to it during my workouts. Ray Dalio is super important, or he's super thoughtful on core values and how that drives business. He's very introspective on the universe and how it's intentional. Like it's just a very fascinating read. That's my most recent, so that might be top of mind. Um, so I'll leave it at that.
I actually listened to that while I worked out as well about a couple years ago, I think it was. Uh,
Yeah.
his thoughts on meritocracy are just spot on most of the
Oh,
time,
I know.
and
I agree.
he just it's a good book. That's a very good read. How about you? Well, you listen to podcasts. Let's. What's your favorite podcast?
So acquiring minds, obviously, through my journey, that's the one that I frequent all the time. A guy by the name of Will Smith, and it's all these entrepreneurial people that are going through their process of buying businesses. That's been on repeat. I've got my podcast. I'm originally from Cleveland, so I listen to all thing Guardians, Cleveland Browns, Cavs. I've got that on a daily routine as well in my rotation. But yeah, and then. Um, there is a private equity one, and I can't remember the name of it, but that's really interesting in terms of it's more operational partners or operational managers that oversee portfolio companies, and it's a little bit more strategic in terms of how you grow and helping owner operators grow. I'll have to get back to you on that one, but yeah, those are the ones that I cycle through still.
Perfect. Okay, I got a quote. Tell me what it makes you think of. And
Yeah.
this is from Shane Parrish. He actually has the podcast, The Knowledge Project, which I recommend to people. It's a real good one. But he says you don't need more time. You need more focus. Time isn't the constraint. Your choices are.
Um, that last part about your choices are just kind of like, yes, like it settled me into that's 100% right because everyone's fighting for more time and everyone's focusing how they can create more time or more space on their calendar without focusing on choices. And your choices can dictate your time. Um, Man, it's spot on. I really like that.
Well, I just the other day I was walked in the office and I was committed. This is what I'm doing for the first hour. Nobody's going to bother me. And then I make the choice to go out and get a cup of coffee, and then I get into a conversation. And so I think that if we all reflect on our days, we can find some. If we're complaining about time, we can find that time usually. There's times we spend doing things that
100%.
don't really help the business.
And you don't need to be in front of a computer from like 7 o'clock to 10 o'clock too. And you shouldn't feel good about using that time because you need to be, kind of like you said, more thoughtful on your time, your choices that impact your time. And you don't have to kind of work around the clock and have time away from the family to feel like you're contributing to the business or working on the business for growth. Like you don't need to do that. I
Nope.
think that quote perfectly sums that up.
Yeah, like I said, Shane, he's got a lot of good quotes. He comes up with some good stuff. But hey, Paul, I really enjoyed the time. I really appreciate you coming on. I hope to keep in touch.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
if there's anything I can help out with, just don't hesitate to reach out.
Yeah, I appreciate
I
it, Brian, and you've already been a help thus far, and I appreciate everything you've done. So thanks for having me on. It was great.
appreciate it, Paul.
You got it. See you, Brian.